everybody, it's Adrian again here on the week 2 of the Info Steps Challenge, doing my second walk and talk, where I get to meet various different people involved with the Info Steps. We take a little walk together, we learn out what our involvement is, and we try and avoid falling over whatever it is that's in front of us whilst trying to do a Zoom call, which last week went a little bit wrong when I found a rabbit hole. There we go. But this week, absolutely delighted to be speaking to Rory and Shane, who are representing the two wonderful charities that we're busy supporting this year, the Cyber Helpline and the Innocent Lives Foundation. So we're going to take this opportunity today to learn a little bit more about both of those charities and where your donations will be going and the impact that they have on people's lives. And what I've done today is I've got them both out walking to join me on this call. But Shane, the astute viewer would notice that you don't look to be out in the countryside like Rory. So what's going on here? And hello from the UK.
Hey there. So what's going on here is that it is about to really start storming outside, and it's just looking really ugly and dark. So I figured it'd be better off just to stand here and be in the garage, hit the treadmill, and have the conversation instead of, getting hit by lightning or something fun like that.
Where are you, Shane? What part of the world are you in?
So I'm in Florida, and I'm near the lightning capital of the world, actually, which is Tampa. I'm about an hour south of that. And so we do take it pretty seriously here. In addition to that, so if you're looking at a map, you see Florida on the line, you drive about another 4 hours, hug the West Coast, and that's where you'll find me, in a little town called Port Charlotte.
Oh, nice. Excellent. Yeah, you do storms over there pretty well compared to us over here. But,
yeah. Yeah, this house is actually...
Maybe Rory, you come a close second, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shane. Okay, yeah, Rory, you probably have a close second on storms, being from where you are, right? Northern England.
Yeah, we certainly do a good story in rain. That's one thing we definitely have. Having grown up in the north of Scotland, it's not quite the northwest of Scotland, but yeah, it's a nice day today though, so we should get through without any storm mishap. So
beautiful. Well, it's a pleasure to get you both out today. Now, so Shane, tell me about yourself, and you're representing Innocent Lives Foundation. So wonder if you could just tell me your involvement in this wonderful charity and some of the things that you are involved in.
All right, awesome. So the Innocent Lives Foundation, if you don't know us, we identify child predators. The vast majority of those are online. The superpower of the team that we have is really being able to OSINT the heck out of these people who think they can hurt kids and stay anonymous. And of course, if you're in this industry, you know that it's a long shot. So we're able to go out, really provide predator identification as a service. And we do that for law enforcement, and we turn those cases in. So it's kind of a unique idea. We are really happy so far. We're going into our 4th year on September the 1st. That will be our anniversary. We have turned in 300 cases. So we have 300 cases that have been accepted by law enforcement. We've actually worked nearly 400, but as you can imagine, you don't get everything you want, right? You can't always nail these guys and gals to the wall with the information you need for law enforcement to take action. But over 300, we're pretty happy with that.
Wow, 300 in coming out of 4 years. So what's the size of the team, Shane?
The size of the team total is we are right around 50 in total, but that includes our board of directors, that includes education and outreach team. We try to keep the PIT, which is the predator identification team, to about 30 people in total. That's the mission. That's what we want to stay on point on.
All right. And I'm guessing there's a fair amount of training and involvement for the volunteers and a bit of a process of getting them onboarded, I'm sure, in this world.
Yeah, so the onboarding, so the training, this is interesting. We're really looking for people who are already OSINT professionals. Training people on how to do the work really is not within our mission. We would love to. If we had the budget someday to be able to bring people who are passionate and excited and train them, that would be ideal. Right now, we need people who are ready to rock and roll, who can get out there and hunt these bad guys down for us. So it's a little bit of we run into that question a lot. So if you're going to come and volunteer for us, you got to be ready to go. We do something that is a little unique, though, as far as onboarding. We intentionally take about 90 days to onboard someone. We're going to put you through 4 different interviews and ridiculous background checks that are very invasive. Obviously, there are kids involved, right? But what we have found is that if we stretch out the interview process and frankly make it a little painful, a lot of folks will weed themselves out. They get very emotional about this because it is emotional. I mean, this is something that hits you in the gut. So when they realize the amount of commitment and work that is really necessary to be successful, a lot of folks bail out in the process, and that's okay. We're looking to get to fail fast, and we're looking to keep the people who are truly dedicated. And it's worked out well for us doing that.
Thank you. That's fantastic. And you're US based, but Shane, do you take on volunteers outside of the US, or is it just a US volunteer base at the moment?
So we're US based. We will help a child anywhere in the world. We often do. But for the moment, it's just too much red tape to take volunteers who are outside of the US. Reason why is that you're going to become known to federal law enforcement if you come to work for us. And so going just through the red tape can be a real challenge if you're not within the US. So again, as we grow, we'd love to have some connections and things set up to where we can take on there's a lot of talented people that we don't have access to. We want that. We're just not big enough yet.
Thanks, Shane. Rory, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you wouldn't mind, and the cyber helpline.
Yeah, sure. So one thing I realized probably 4 years ago or so is that not enough is being done to support victims of cybercrime. You know, if you experience a cybercrime, online harm of some description, an online fraud, you're kind of a member of the public without any real IT skills, any real cybersecurity skills, up against a pretty motivated, cyber criminal, cybersecurity expert. And the help just isn't there from the police and the industry. And the cyber helpline is really a movement by the information security community to step in and fill that gap in support for victims. So we provide essentially a free instant response service for any member of the public who has been scammed, been hacked, been stalked, been bullied, any kind of harm that they might come across online. And we do that essentially by a mix of 2 things. A chatbot that we have built and can take a plain English description of a problem and match it to a known type of cyber attack or scam or fraud. And then we have a team of 80 volunteers from the cybersecurity industry who volunteer their time on a helpline to provide telephone and email support to those individuals to help them understand what's happened, first of all, because often they're confused and scared. We help them contain the issue and collect evidence so they can then eventually go and work with the police on it. We help them recover, so we get them to a point where they feel secure and they have their privacy back online. And then we help them learn how to be more secure and avoid this type of situation in the future. So we've been going on with exactly the same amount of time as Shane, actually. So we're just entered our 4th year, and we have just under 6,000 cases under our belt to date, and are processing something like, or helping 500 people every month.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And you say these are individuals, so this is not corporates, these are not businesses, these are just running of mill, anybody, any member of the public.
Yeah, exactly. Members of the public and sole traders. So we realized really early that sole traders are almost identical to individuals. The one person using normal IT, any individual would. So we help both. But what we realized, if you're a business, you might have insurance, you might have some money, you might have some capability to respond. If you're a member of the public, you just don't have any of that. And the chances are, if you report to the police, you're unlikely to hear back. And so we kind of sat back and said, there's this massive gap. It's not good enough. The scale of cybercrime is huge. Who can step in and fill that gap? And we realized it was the people with the cybersecurity skills, and also knowing that cybersecurity people are good people. They volunteer, they're trying to do the right thing. And we wanted to create a volunteering vehicle for the cybersecurity industry to put them in touch with people who need their skills and help.
Amazing. And so that putting people in touch, so you're constantly looking, I should imagine, for volunteers. What sort of people do you look for? What skill sets?
Yeah, good question. It's a real mix. So we have, out of our 80 volunteers, I would say there's a big chunk of those who are early in their cybersecurity careers. They might be working in a SOC. They might have just, graduated from a master's in cybersecurity. They're looking to get experience, and they're also looking to volunteer. The other bit we get is really experienced people who want to give back. So they might be senior incident responders, they might be CISOs, they might be IT security managers running security for a law firm, a whole range of people from across the industry. And what you tend to find is the common thing is that they understand how bad the problem is. They've got the skill set, they've got the technical and security understanding, and importantly, they've got a willingness to speak to the general public and deal with that emotional side and the stress side and help people through their problems. So, it's been amazing for us, because one of the big concerns we had was two things. Are there going to be enough people volunteering to run this service? And two, do IT security people have the social and empathy skills to deal with the general public in a time of need? And the answer to both of those things has been yes. So it's been an amazing success story so far.
So it sounds like hopefully off the back of this, you might get a few volunteers to come in and help join the team and help some individuals. And I know there's a massive need out there, knowing the amount of phone calls I get from various different family members or friends that have been hit by phishing or all kinds of incidents over the years. Yeah. Or just sometimes just a member of my family needing a PC repaired, but that's a different story.
Yeah, but, and that's interesting. Just because of the types of issues that we see, because when we started the service, we thought, this is going to be exactly those types of issues. I've clicked a phishing email, my PC's not working, what's happening, real kind of IT issues. And what we've realized from running the service for 3 years or so, 4 years, is that most of these problems are really human problems being played out online. It's online harassment, it's cyber stalking, it's grooming, it's revenge porn. And so it's been a really interesting journey going from this is going to be really technical to actually we need to build an understanding of all of these really complex, high risk, high stakes issues. And what's good about that is because all of our volunteers, their parents phone them up or somebody phones them up and says, you're good with computers, help me out. What we are able to do is give them that safe way to do that, train them up, ensure them, give them the tools, and allow them to help people with the right processes and tools in place.
Hey, Rory, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Where can you accept volunteers from?
So that's a really good question. So we are right at the point of thinking about who we help and where we help them. And we started up in the UK. We let our chatbot be used by anybody. So, if you're online, you can get automated 24/7 help from our chatbot. It'll send you off to some web guidance and you can kind of self-help from there. And we've always kind of had a UK volunteering team, but as we've kind of grown and our stories got out, more and more people from different countries, particularly the US, have said to us, we love the model, we love what you're doing, we want to start something up locally. So right now we're in discussions about how we might open up our service in the US too, and just looking at the differences in law and the kind of landscape. But from a kind of front of house perspective, so actually helping people right now, those are UK people. I think over the next 2 or 3 months, we'll open that out to the US too, because what's really hard for us right now is that we get loads and loads of people from the US coming to us saying, I really need help. And for various reasons, most of them boring, insurance and risk and all the other stuff. We're kind of like, sorry, we can only help people in the UK. But we're going to make that change and open that up. So hopefully we'll be able to take volunteers from further afield relatively quickly.
So that's one of the things that we have an abundance of is very highly technically qualified volunteers that would fit your role. But our mission is so specific, it's so on point that we really have to sort through super carefully about who we can take due to the fact that so many children are involved, and then it's just so highly specialized. So I'll look forward to maybe having some further conversation with you about how we can help each other out, if that makes sense.
That would be awesome. And I also really love your comment about hiring slow and failing fast. I think that's it's a really good approach, because I think also when you're working with volunteers, it's tricky, because managing volunteers and basing a service on volunteers is hard, but often people really believe in your mission. They want to help. They're really excited at the start, but when the rubber hits the road and they got into some of these things and they're in a stocking case and trying to help someone who's in a high risk position, as you say, if you don't hire slow and make sure you've got the right people, it can be quite attritional. So getting it right is really important.
I was just curious. Rory's brought alive some of the ways that the charities helps individuals. Now I'm pretty sure there's a limit to your techniques that you are able to sort of share publicly and openly. But I just wondered if you could give us a bit of an insight about how your charity actually sort of engages and how it identifies cases and sort of maybe a couple of impacts that you've managed to have to bring it alive.
Sure, I would love to. So first of all, we have to be really clear and stay on point with our mission, because as you look at this as a whole, you may think that the children are customers. And the reality is the children and their families are our beneficiaries. They're the ones who benefit from what we do. Our customer is actually law enforcement, even though they don't pay us anything. Even though the service is for free, we still have to give them information they want. So the illustration I always use is that of junk mail. We get tons of junk mail showing up here. And the first thing you do is look at it, you get irritated and you toss it away and you don't look at it. Well, a lot of groups before us were providing what they thought was good leads. And the reality is it was junk mail to law enforcement. They couldn't do anything with it. They couldn't work with it. So we pre-sort, we work, we verify, we do all these things before it even gets to law enforcement. So I'd mentioned we'd had nearly 400 cases that we've worked, but only 300 that we've actually been able to submit. That's because they were pre-filtered, they worked out, we were sure before we handed it to them, because the moment we start sending law enforcement the equivalent of digital junk mail, we lose our value. So
so you mentioned that you use OSINT information to uncover the perpetrators. So that's are you actively searching for signals out there that you then investigate? Oh, hello, dog. So that's the downside. Last week was rabbit hole. Today is friendly dogs on my leg. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll start the question again.
So we definitely do lead research for ourselves. So we have leads come in 3 ways. Law enforcement will hand us a lead, and they'll say, here's the scope that you can work in, and then we will tackle that. That, of course, is the best way to do it because they've requested us and they're using our service. The next way we get cases is parents, typically grooming cases, will call in and they just don't know what to do. I mean, just like, where Rory's at, the folks out there are lost. They don't do this every day. They don't know where to turn. So we deal with parents, and then we do lead research ourselves. A lot of people have this idea that the dark web is where all this horrible stuff is happening. And while it's true, it is out there, the vast majority of our cases are found and resolved on the open web. It's the same web our kids are using to go to school on. It's the same one we do our shopping on. So it's not this mysterious dark web thing happening there. It's open web. So besides OSINT, we use social engineering. Now, it may sound odd because we don't interact unless it's specifically within scope. We're not interacting with these people. So you may be thinking, well, how do you use social engineering then if you're not talking to them? It helps to understand their mindset, to try to put yourself in their mind, think the way they would think. That helps us to rule out rabbit holes, so to speak. If you hear someone say they're in a forum, we're researching them, and they say the word pop. Well, for us, we know that it's soda or it's Coke. Depending on what part of the country you're from, depends on the words that they use. So you're able to then begin narrowing your search and search smarter. So that's the way we use social engineering, is really just getting into their mind and anticipating how they may be thinking.
Fascinating. I've got a million questions that are stacking up. Actually, this webinar could probably go on for another 3 kilometers of walking, but I know probably for our listeners, they're taking a bit of a breather from meetings and work. So a question for you both. Rory, we're raising money through Walking for Charity. We're walking to Australia and back. We're hoping to raise as much as we can through a number of events and bringing in other teams along the way. How would the cyber helpline make use of any donations? What does it go towards? What difference would it make?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that is tricky is funding. So I'm sure Shane feels the same thing across the water. Getting the money in to fund these services is incredibly difficult. Yeah, and people also forget that having a volunteer isn't free. So because somebody is giving their time for free, which is an amazing thing, it's not free for us to have them as a volunteer. We got to give them email accounts, give them insurance, training, help desk licenses, all these costs that accumulate to run our service. And so every one of our volunteers costs us somewhere in the region of £400 to £500 a year. So that gives all of our costs for a year so they can come and volunteer at the helpline. And they will process probably something like 50 cases in a year, 50 to 70 cases in a year. And so actually, every bit of money that gets us to the point where we can have more people on the helpline, helping more individuals, and having that real impact for individuals, it makes such a difference. And so as money comes in from the Info Steps Challenge, we'll get more volunteers because that's really important to us. And to give you a feel, our caseload over the last 12 months compared to the previous 12 months has grown 360%. So we are just seeing this massive growth in cases because, there are tens of thousands of victims in the UK every month, and we're helping about 500. So there's so many people out there for us to help. So first of all, we add more people. The other thing we need to do is make sure victims know about us, and we need to get the word out about the cyber helpline, because naturally when you start a free cyber helpline like we have and you've got tens of thousands of victims every month, you're really nervous about shouting too loud. in case 10,000 victims phone the helpline within, the next week. And so we've been really quiet about getting our brand out there and saying, look, we're here. We're starting to get much more confident. We've got the automation with the chatbot, we've got the 80 volunteers. So what we really want to do now is focus funds on growth and scaling. So we have enough people, we have enough capability to help the victims who need us, but making sure the victims out there know that we're here and can trust approaching us, so they can get the help they need quickly. And any funding makes a huge, huge difference to our ability to help people.
Thanks, Rory. I can see the real link between the donation and the result for the number of people, individual cases that are happening there. So thanks very much for that explanation. And same question to yourself, Shane. How can we help you?
Well, I think Rory said it really good. As an example, so to sponsor a member of the predator identification team takes $20 a day. So you have 30 people, you start to see the math. One of the things that I'm really wanting to push for next year is we want to double the size of our pit. We'd like to be able to retain 60 people who are hunting these bad guys and gals out there. And that just purely comes down to economics. We're at the point now, Rory mentioned the word scale, be able to scale out. I think we're it sounds like we're in a similar position in our growth and our age, that we've got the processes figured out. Now we want to keep doing more good. It's time to scale it. Well, what we're going to need to scale in order to double the pit for about every 30 people, we're going to need about 350,000, 400,000 a year added to our budget. It can be done. The work can be done. The constraint at the moment is just finances.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Shane. I'm quite touched by the stories you've been telling me tonight. Actually, it's sort of it's coming alive for me. Why I'm getting up each day stupidly early in the morning. Why I'm going out lunchtimes, evenings, and it seems like all I'm bloody doing at the moment is walking. And this is just 2 weeks in, and we're doing this for 6 months. So for me, this is no mean undertaking. It's probably one of the largest challenges I've committed to. And yeah, actually listening to the stories you've just told actually make me want to go for a longer walk tonight and get the message out there a bit more. So I really do appreciate your time today and the stories that you've told. And I'm going to keep stepping for both of your charities and helping bring your messages out there to the wider world. And to everybody listening, infostep.uk is where you can find out all the details about the charities, how to contact them. And I'll post some other links into the comments below. And you'll also find the links to the Just Giving pages, so you can make some contributions, be it financially or, as you've heard, other ways. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Rory and Shane. Really do appreciate it. And it's a pleasure to be able to help you on this journey.
No problem.
It is an honor to have you guys on our side and helping us out. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. All the rest and all the best. Sorry, and speak to you both soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.